Hey there, fellow Tarkov fiends. Trexcapades here, and today I'm going to break down how to run Interchange as a scav and get you started on making a safe 2+ million rubles per hour. This is targeted primarily at folks who are starting out in Tarkov and want to figure out a way to make rubles in a safe manner to jumpstart their journey. However, experienced players can still benefit from these routes and strategies because sometimes you just want a chill break from sweaty geared raids and still want to make some rubles without a ton of effort. For the sake of demonstration, I ran 10 Interchange Scav runs in a row, and we're going to run through them really quickly, then sum up and average how much we made per run and how long each run took. I'll describe different places you can spawn as a scav and some of the most lucrative and safe routes around the map. FYI, whenever possible, I scav Interchange at night for several reasons. 1. The outdoor barrel caches glow at night, so they're easier to find. 2. There's less chance of PvP, and 3. Scavs have a harder time killing you at night. Alright, let's jump right into the raids and routes. So in our very first raid of the 10-run series, we spawn here at the front of Goshen. As you can see, the route takes me out of the mall from the back towards the power station and then to the railway exfil. Now that's going to be a very common strategy that I'm going to use throughout this entire video, is to get outside of the mall where it's safer and hit up the caches. However, it's good to know what to loot and where while you're inside the mall too. So here we loot a little bit in Goshen. We hit up the back shelving in Goshen where there's some toolboxes, duffel bags, other loose tools on the shelving. Great for the hideout, great for money. Then we zip right outside around power, hit the caches at power. And as we go to the railway exfil, we hit up every cache. As you can see on the map, there's 7, 8, 9 caches you can hit. Very low risk, not a lot of PvP. And then boom, at the railway exfil in 11 minutes and 4 seconds with total loot of over 536,000 rubles, which is a great run. Here we spawn at the power station, which is a bit of a risky spawn, but also a really good one. If you survive the first minute or so, you're going to make out with a ton of loot very quickly. So the first thing I would do is I would go inside power. I would loot everything inside. There's jackets, toolboxes. Then I would go outside and hit the caches right around power. And I would hit the little sheds outside too. They have toolboxes, some weapon crates, etc. Now you head right up the side of the mall, just like we did in the last run, and you just hit every single cache on the way to the railway exfil. Shouldn't take very long. You can hit probably 6, 7, 8 caches. Now, once in a while, they are looted, which is just, bad luck. But more often than not, most of these caches are not looted, as people are just rushing in, trying to get graphics cards, Tetrises, etc. And really quickly, you can get a pretty solid amount of money. Here, 8 minutes, 4 seconds, over 222,000 rubles. Can't complain about that. So this raid was a bit of a doozy, as you can probably tell from the way that the red line doesn't quite make it all the way to railway, and we will find out why in just a second. So again, we get the power station spawn. We want to loot the inside of the power station. There's toolboxes. Sometimes there's dead scavs you can loot there. There's 2 caches. And as we leave and go up the side of the mall, our goal is to hit every single cache we can as we go to the railway exit. Now, sometimes you're going to have to fight players. You're going to have to fight other player scavs. Sometimes there's exfil campers. More often than not, there isn't. But sometimes there is. I believe this is probably one of the most PvP heavy raids I had while doing these 10 runs. And we killed a couple players. We got all their loot. And we tried to get out, but we could not make it. So 12 minutes in raid, no money acquired. So as you can see here, we spawn an idea, and I think you could probably spot the pattern that is emerging here. The first thing we want to do is run around idea to the northern computer block area, the offices. The back office area and the front where the computers are, loot those computers, get those CPUs, those CPU fans. Sometimes people leave a graphics card in the back or on the box in the front area where they don't know it spawns. I have found all kinds of great tech loot by looting that office in idea. Once we finish out there, of course, we book it right out the front of the mall. We hit up all the caches we can on the way to railway. Just a little tip. The reason I run these at night is because, as you could probably tell, some of these caches like literally glow at night. They are so easy to see. So idea to railway, hitting the caches, 6 minutes, 25 seconds, 363,098 rubles. That's great. Here we spawn at the back of Goshen, which is a pretty great place to spawn. All of the shelving at the back has all kinds of tools and other accessories that are necessary for your hideout. There's a couple of toolboxes and a duffel bag back there where you can get bolts, nails, nuts, screws, things for your hideout, and a lot of that stuff sells really well on the flea market. I go down the ramp north past the power station and I skirt the inside wall here, not feeling like it's worth the risk to actually go to the power station here because I have a small backpack. It's just one of those things. Sometimes you don't spawn with enough carrying capacity and there's not much you can do about it. As you can see also, I do night raids, not only for lack of PvP, but a lot of the caches, the barrel caches, they actually glow at night, making them very easy to spot if you're not 100% sure where they are. In this raid, 8 minutes, 8 seconds, we make 109,000 rubles. Nothing great, but not too bad. In this run, we spawn in the middle of Idea, and we're really not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We're going to follow a similar route as we demonstrated earlier in this video. The main place to hit when you spawn an Idea is hit those Idea offices. Those back shelves have tech spawns. The front office area has tech spawns. Lots of stuff gets overlooked. Graphics cards, Tetrises, you never know what you can find, and most of that stuff's worth some good money. Of course, once we loot those offices, we just book it right out the front of the mall, and it's perfect because, you know, there's like 10 caches on the way to the railway exfil. So as we go, I'm really happy here. We have a pilgrim backpack. We're just going to stuff it completely full of everything we can find in these caches and hit the railway exfil. Not reinventing the wheel, nothing fancy. Easy 7 minutes, 8 seconds in raid, 379,000 plus rubles made. Excellent. Up until this point, we've pretty much had spawns that favor the railway exfil every time. If you spawn here at the Scav camp on the road, you can kind of choose either way you want to go. So in this case, I decided to go to the Emercom exit. And again, it's nighttime. It's very simple. I'm just hitting every single cache I can all the way. Now, usually I do go to railway because I feel like it's easier to hit a whole bunch of caches. But in this case, I choose to go to Emercom. There's 7 or 8 caches that you can hit on the way to the exfil, and you'll stuff your pockets full of loot. Easy peasy. At night, very unlikely to have PvP. It's easy to spot these barrel caches. And you know what? This is again for somewhat newer players, or you just want to have a relaxing time in Tarkov. Get yourself some money. Do something a little bit low stress because the game can be very stressful, and boom, 5 minutes 12 seconds, not the best, but 124,000 rubles made, not too bad. Here we have the back of Goshen spawn again. I mentioned it before, it's a great place to spawn. The shelves back there have all kinds of great stuff, all kinds of tools for your hideout, really high value single slot items in the toolboxes back there, like nails, bolts, screws, and so on. So what I do here is actually a little bit different than what I've been doing. I go down the back hole of Goshen to the underground parking garage, and I want to hit as many caches as I can until my inventory is full. So I sort of run out to the side of the mall, and I know all the cache locations, so I hit up all these caches. Even though it takes a little bit of a weird route and it's a little bit of a zigzag, it's worth it. It's at night. I had some time to kill here. I figure you never know what you're gonna find. As long as your inventory space allows it, hit up more caches. And we do it in 9 minutes, 29 seconds. We walk out with 211,000 plus rubles. Not a bad run. Well, would you look at that? We spawned in the middle of Idea again. Guess that's a pretty common spawn. You guys know the route. I mean, I don't even need to tell you at this point, but I'll tell you anyways, so you'll never forget. So where do we go? We go to the offices. We hit the back shelves. We get all the tech we can. We go into the front computer areas. We hit those computers. We get all the tech spawns that are loose laying around there. And it turns out as we go out the front of the mall here, we stumble into a massacre. So there's a bunch of dead bodies there with some loot on them. So we're going to take everything we can, and then we do the simple strategy of hitting every cache we know on the way to the railway exfil. Now, you'll always have to sort of balance how much loot do I have, how much space do I have, is it worth taking the risk to go for extra caches? But usually I figure if you have extra inventory space, it's just a scav run. Go hit the caches, it'll pay off. Here, 8 minutes, 21 seconds. We make a pretty whopping 649,000 rubles. That's awesome. And now for the very last raid of the 10 raid series. I get the back of Goshen spawn again, and instead of going out the back of the mall this time, I increase the risk profile for a little bit more reward by going through the middle of the mall. The first place I hit is German. It's a known tech spawn area, it can have graphics cards, etc. And the store next to German has jackets where you can get some keys and a weapon box and a little bit of extra loot like that. I go by Emercom and I hit TTS. There's more tech there. I hit the IDEA offices, which we've talked about before. Tons of tech in the back, tech in the front, computers in the front. I head out the front of the mall and I do a simple rinse and repeat of what we've done pretty much throughout this entire video. I hit as many of the caches as I can within reason and within the time limit before I hit the railway exfil, where I'm going to get out with some fat loot. 11 minutes, 643,000 plus rubles. That's a seriously good haul for a scav run. So here we have the sum total of the 10 runs. I didn't cherry pick these. They were just 10 runs I did in a row for the purposes of demonstration. We end up here with 3,240,243 rubles in 1 hour and 27 minutes in raid. This equates to earnings of 2.2 million rubles per hour, which is pretty great as a scav. On average, we were in each raid just under 9 minutes, and the per raid average cash grab was just over 320,000 rubles. Of course, this money-making method works best when you know as many of the cheeky little spots to grab valuable loot as possible. First and foremost, memorizing where the caches are is very important, and I'll be sure to drop a link to the cache map I use in the description below. Just remember, as you play, you'll get more and more experience on how to move through the map and get that easy money so you can gear up in full tier 6 and get one-tapped on your PMC. Haha. And one other item of note, I didn't end up spawning an ollie during these 10 runs, but it's a rather common spawn. If you do spawn an ollie, the shelving all around the edges of the store has a lot of good loot like water filters, hoses, silicone tubes, fuel, and so on. There's also 3 computer banks on the main ollie floor. If you get the ollie spawn, it's pretty easy to fill up your bag immediately and book it out to Emercom. Just be careful of the front of the store by the registers, that can be a death trap. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please drop a like, a comment, and subscribe for future videos. Also, I'm a full-time partnered Twitch streamer at twitch.tv/Trexcapades. I stream 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, so stop on by and join the shenanigans at any time. Cheers, and good luck in your raids.